Because of the constant social feedback, you think it's harder to uphold an image of the venue. You can't please everyone. So how do you choose what's legitimate, or do people just start complaining to complain?
I think you can get better every day. I think, I'm not an artist. So the Roxy is not an artist. It's not about how great my song was. It's how good was the service. Service can always be better. The sound can always be as good as it can be. The lighting can always be as good as it can be. So I'm delivering a fixed experience somewhat. That can always get better and better with feedback. If I stop listening, things will degrade and they won't be as good. But as long as I'm listening and people have fresh ideas, I don't have to act on all of them. One thing I say is, if one person says something, I disregard it. If two people say it, I start to think, okay, there's something that might be happening, but I'm not going to act on it. By that third person, we act on it. So, you kind of get your own algorithms in terms of social. Yeah, people complain all the time, whatever. It might be too loud. I mean, that's my favorite excuse, complaint at the Roxy. It's too loud. Okay, where are you standing? Right in front of the speaker. Okay.
Take a couple steps back.
Exactly.
Have a beer.
What I found is interesting is I actually did a longer story, but I did like social media and stuff and helped out, different companies like the Coffee Bean, for instance. And we would see that people would be in the store and tweet and say, my latte wasn't good, instead of even speaking to a barista 5 feet away. They'd rather take it online. But also, conversely, we found out that if you solve their problem, and I'm curious to see if you have this, they go back and say, Coffee Bean was amazing. They did this, and this, and so it's sort of kind of cool, because usually I had people just complain. They never picked up the phone and said, "Hey, customer service again. I want to let you know it's great." But I do find I've seen with social media that if you do solve their problem, do they go back and say that was awesome?
Same thing. I wasn't Coffee Bean. It was gin and tonic. But this person tweets out, watered down gin and tonic, typical Roxy. Whatever the tweet. And this was at the beginning of maybe 5 or 6 years ago, when Twitter was, maybe someone would mention the Roxy one every 2 days. So this alarm would explode in my pocket when someone mentioned it. So I'm like, okay, I got to find this girl. She's a brunette and she's about this big in her icon. And I got 550 people in the Roxy. So I'm searching for this girl. I don't know how I'm going to find her. Sitting in the lobby while the show's going on, head in her BlackBerry, with an empty gin and tonic right next to her. So I go get the Tanqueray and tonic, double, like nice glass, the whole thing. Tap on the shoulder. Did you just tweet about the Roxy? Horror on her face.
She's getting booted out of here.
Someone's reading what I'm saying. Anyone who tweets, and I forget this too, we read those. And I said, here's your, I'm sorry for that. And she turned around instantly and was like, hey, you know what? The Roxy made it right. What a great venue. So that's the great opportunity that we have in social, and especially in a venue where it is real time. And I can make those changes, to really affect someone's experience and make them a lifelong fan. And I think you're trying to do the same thing with your platform. You're trying to make these fans for life. You're not trying to make them, a 5-minute fan. You're trying to make them so they're going to come back and back and back and back again.
Just to throw in, to your credit, when I first came to Los Angeles, years ago, I mean, the Roxy was, the Roxy. And, I think that Los Angeles and, Roxy probably, came across as having like a lot of attitude. And the fact that you've been starting this 6 years ago, it has made a humongous shift and change. I mean, like, clearly, maybe it wasn't one tweet or 2 tweets, but it's over the last, the reputation's out there. You're obviously speaking about it. And, I mean, the word is definitely out on the street that, that you actually care, which is huge.
Well, that's what it was. It's like, I'm a music fan, just like you are. I'm not an artist. I wasn't able to start that way, but I was a DJ. And then I was a band manager for 10 years. So I think it's understanding what it's like to be a fan and what it's like to be on the other side. You can kind of find the balance. And then for me, it's perfect. I have a venue that I can actually affect the band and their relationship with me, and I can affect the fans' relationship with me. So I it's not my fault that I got into the Roxy. It's my dad's fault. So